My name is Hanalei Souza, aka Lady Line Cook, and I'm a sous chef, and I've been in the industry for about 6 years now.
Hey, my name is Sean. I'm the general manager at Clark Street Diner in Hollywood. I've been in the industry for 11 years, I think. And yeah, that's me. All right. What's the first thing you do when you clock out?
The first thing I do when I don't clock out anymore. I mean, you
salaried,
get
yeah,
that
me
life.
too.
Yeah. I guess the first thing I do when I think I'm done, which is usually 3 times of me thinking that I'm done. The first thing I do, I take off my non-slips, which is like the best part of the day, and I change into my slides or my winter boots, and then I usually, what else do I do? I usually like scroll Instagram for a bit.
Yeah, before you drive home.
Yeah, for a little bit, and then
just kind of decompress before you.
Yeah, then I'll go home and scroll some more.
Yeah.
But at least I don't watch TV.
Yeah,
I do that
I get the like no clocking out life. That's
yeah,
I get
but then I'll
like,
get home and then I'll get a text from my line cook or whatever, like, "Hey, did you cut my ribeye?" Or yeah,
whatever.
I'll
deal with that tomorrow.
Yeah.
When I get home, I walk my dog. That's the first thing I do. Goes crazy when I get home, and so he has to like get out and get it all out. So that's the first thing I do.
Have you ever cried at work? If so, what happened?
I don't think I've cried at work, but I have cried because of work.
Yeah.
This was back when I was a pastry cook, and I started off as in the pastry department at a high-end restaurant in Hollywood, and I was supposed to make this sabayon, like a large batch, like a 2-gallon batch of sabayon, by hand. And so, but the eggs had curdled, but the pastry chef wouldn't let me stop making it. And she's like, well, now you got to throw it all out. And I was naked again after like 45 minutes of stirring over a hot stove. So in the car on the way home, I definitely cried because of that. Like that was a really hard moment.
Yeah, I've definitely cried at work. I'm trying to think of one example because it's happened. There was one point in time when I was like, before I was officially sous chef and I was like learning how to be sous chef, I probably cried like every day.
Oh, yeah.
Either at work, not at work that many times, but like every day after work or on the way home. Where I only had a 3-minute commute, so I didn't even have like a decompression. So, at work, definitely I can think of, I mean, the one I can think of is there were just like too many tickets.
Oh, yeah. Where you just want to like lay down on the
Which
dirty kitchen floor.
sucks when you're trying to like lead the charge on the line. And then I remember like the exec chef I thought he had gone for the day, and then it turned out he was still there and the owner was there. And I guess I didn't know that the owner was in the building, and he was like waiting an hour for his food, and the chef came in, literally like 2 railfuls of tickets. Holiday, it was like,
oh man,
like that holiday in February weekend.
Right.
President's Day or whatever, just jam-packed. I mean, I work in a ski town, and then the chef just came like, what the heck? Why is the owner waiting an hour for his food? I was like, are you kidding me right now?
No.
Don't come in on a holiday weekend. But yeah, I'm not ashamed of it. It's okay to cry at work. Just go start cutting some onions or something.
That's what the walk-in's really for, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's the crying room. Do you think servers make too much money, and why?
Yes. I do. I think they make... It depends on the state. I don't know how controversial we want to get here, but in California...
I know it's kind of a hot take question.
Yeah, it is. It is. I feel like maybe my real opinion is that line cooks don't make enough, I guess.
100%. I agree with you there.
Because I don't, like I still try to tip well when I go out because I know the servers they need to pay their rent, and this is America, so if someone doesn't like them, they might not pay their rent that month. So
yeah, it gets interesting, especially in California where they're paid like the local minimum wage.
Yeah.
So like in LA they get $17.28 an hour.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot for
You can't
LA.
live on that, but you're also making like $30 an hour in tips.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's not pooled with the kitchen fairly.
Yeah.
And sure, they always say, oh, the cooks make a higher dollar wage. Okay, but like compare the end of the day, I'm
totally with you on the line cooks deserve all the money.
Yeah. I think like they could change the tip out structure, but then the servers will complain because then you're taking something away from them that they already have.
Yeah.
So maybe just pay the cooks more.
Yeah, there's there have been a few times in my career as a manager where I've adjusted the tip structure, and it's basically a civil war whenever it happens.
I know, yeah.
So
I mean, we used to get 0 tip out in the kitchen, and then it went to like 1%, and it would be $2 or $3 an hour now, which is something. It's not nothing. But yeah, apparently it was like prying it out of the server's cold dead hands when they were making like $50 an hour. It's like, come on, they make your food. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
totally with you with the line cooks. Servers do. There is an amount of like emotional labor there that I think deserves some tip.
Because whenever a server comes back and tells me about someone who was extremely rude to them in some situation they had to deal with, I'm like, keep your tips.
Yeah, exactly.
You can have all your tips. Like, I'll stay back here.
The amount of shielding that the servers do for the backup
absolutely
houses,
and sometimes it's my fault. Like sometimes I did 86 something and I'm like, can you go back out there? So it doesn't happen often, but sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Totally with you.
What's the most epic fail you've ever witnessed at work?
Ooh, that's broad. Like, whose failure? My failure?
It could be either.
Or just a failure. The one that comes to mind is, so the diner's at the first floor of a hotel. So there's like a lot of hotel rooms above us. And they were doing this huge remodel like last summer of all their rooms, complete refurbishment, including like plumbing and tubs and showers and things like that. And it was my second day as the GM there, so I was still feeling out the place. A pipe falls through the ceiling through a table while guests are sitting there. Yeah. And I am still deer in the headlights, like, what is this place? Like, you know, I've run places before, but nothing this big. And like all of a sudden there's like infrastructure falling through the ceiling. It's like, so we moved them and like pulled the pipe out and talked to the hotel GM. And, but that's the fail that comes to mind as far as like
that wasn't like your failure.
I know.
Mine would be when I overcooked the entire sheet tray of New York strips for a party.
No.
I told this story before, but like it's one of those moments where you were so sure that you set a timer and then you set it for 5 minutes and then half an hour later you're like, what happened to my timer? Oh yeah. And we didn't have New York strip on the menu because it was just like a party special order.
Oh no.
So I ended up like cutting off the ends of a bunch of ribeyes. I made it happen. They said it was the best New York strip they've ever had.
That's awesome.
And we made cheesesteaks. So like it was win-win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's about.
I love that.
Yeah.
You still save the day even after the burnt, charred steaks. This is a good one. If you could eliminate one position from a restaurant, which position would it be?
Oh, man. I mean, the first one to get cut's always the busser.
Yeah.
But if it was like a really busy day and the servers were in the weeds, you know, it would suck to cut the busser. But their job is the first one that like everyone can just kind of absorb.
Yeah. I could see maybe like floor manager if they're like
maybe. I mean, our managers are pretty good. I feel like maybe our restaurant's just weird, but our managers like are pretty hands-on and or you got that kind of classic restaurant manager persona that just kind of runs around and does nothing, then maybe it would be them. But yeah, exactly. Just in the middle of the rush is like, let me reorganize the office or whatever.
Or if they try to help expo and it's like not helping at all. So maybe like the classic toxic restaurant manager I would eliminate. But if you have a good manager,
but not
really
mine.
Nice.
Mine are great.
Yeah, exactly. Mine are great too. If you're watching.
Yeah. Look into the camera and tell the audience if you're watching this and having a good time, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe.
If you're watching this and having a good time, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Are guests always right? Why or why not?
Absolutely not. I think everyone who's worked in the industry knows this. I mean, the classic, like, they send the steak back. They said they ordered it rare. Mm-hmm. There was one time I just ate the steak. I was like, this is the most perfect rare steak I've ever seen. Like the next one I sent out, I think they were like, literally, you can't undercook it. I temp at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, like refrigerator cold.
Yeah, from the fridge.
And I sent it out, and they loved it. It didn't come back.
So odd.
I was like, well, okay. Thanks for feeding me.
The full quote is the customer's always right in matters of taste. So like if there's a demand for like souffle or whatever at your restaurant and you're not serving it, then like, well, then you're the one that's wrong. You know, you need to be serving that.
I feel like that's different than them just straight up being wrong.
Oh,
about
100%.
Something.
We cook a lot of eggs at the diner, and the specificity to which people attribute their egg cooking is like, I was like, I may as well bring out a little induction burner and have you do it yourself because we can't get it right for you. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
so, I know. It's definitely trying to accommodate those people is super hard. And it's one of those times where like if you have a good manager, then they can really save the day.
We have a good server who can like ask the right questions to kind of pry the what they actually want. Because like what'll often happen is sometimes a guest will like create their own dish and then they'll get it and they don't like it. But then it's like, okay, but like we're chefs who put together this menu of flavors that go together, and you went and messed with it. Of course you don't like it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it takes a really strong server to be like, no, I'm not going to take that off your bill. Yeah. You made that.
Or even like the preventative questioning where it's like, okay, you're getting weird. Let me figure this out with you before I even put it in so I can make sure the kitchen knows what's going on.
Yeah, like we had a server, we like went out to lunch today and one of the people was a vegetarian and the server asked like, oh, are you a vegetarian because there's meat in this sauce, blah, 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 that we wouldn't have thought of. So I'm like, that's a good server right there. Like we're, the servers who know kind of why someone might be asking like, oh, is that an allergy or is that this? Or are you looking for maybe this instead of that?
Yeah, catch the
those
issues
servers
before
are worth what they make for sure. And then they stop errors from coming into the kitchen and they stop refires and all that. So, If you could use one spice for your entire life, which spice would you choose?
Ooh, red chili flakes. I feel like that's a good, highly variable or highly applicable spice. If I could get more specific, it'd probably be like gochujang, the fermented red pepper from Korea. That's like my absolute favorite thing to throw in stuff. Okay. So, how about you?
Yeah. I don't know if spice blends count, but I would just put shawarma spice on everything.
Or za'atar. That stuff's so good.
Yeah, the za'atar, that green stuff with the little sesame seeds in it. Yeah. Anything down that alley. I know those are blends though, so I don't know if that counts, but I'm sure it does. Have you ever had a disaster spill?
Yeah.
Of course.
So our trash cans are kind of like not close to the restaurant, like our dumpsters and our grease trap and all that. And we had a faulty cart, like with a bad wheel on it, and they were pushing the old grease out of the grease trap in like a, 20-gallon stock pot or whatever. And it tipped over in the middle of like the hotel's like driveway. And so the poor guys had to like go out there with the degreaser and like kind of try to mop it all up. But yeah, it was pretty terrible. And then I had to like go being nice with the hotel staff and say like, hey, really sorry, like this happened. And then I ordered a new cart that day.
Yeah. Man, the classic is the classic ranch. I actually didn't spill it, but I was part of the cleanup because when someone spills ranch, you don't just let them deal with it themselves.
Yeah,
it's kind of a community event. So it was one of those spill. It was like the 40-gallon.
Oh no!
It was a server, but she was like, it's like on the top shelf, and it weighs 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And most of our wait staff are like small women. It's like it's kind of a unfair demand, and it was one of those spills where you're just finding ranch like weeks later.
Yeah, that's one of the scenes in The Bear that I actually like.
Oh, with the demi.
Identified with. Yeah. I was like, no.
See, but it's not as thick. Oh, the demi is bad because it takes time and effort to make. The ranch
has dairy, which is like, if you don't get it all,
it's so like oily and slippery, and like you can't mop it up and you can't sweep it. Like you literally have to just like scoop it with a.
Yeah.
I don't even know the best way. If anyone's got the best way, let us know.
Yeah, we should Tell us in the comments, how do you clean up your ranch
I know,
spills?
because enough towels, like getting all the dirty linen from the bag, like that, even that doesn't do it. I don't know if there's like a standardized way to clean up ranch, but
that's not in the like Ecolab packet.
Yeah, they don't teach that in culinary school.
No, they don't. Have you ever yelled at a coworker? If so, what did you say?
The most recent one I can think of was like, we have this pistachio crusted sea bass, and like it was one of those crazy insane rushes where you're just sending out food, and like a lot of line cooks, I feel like a mistake I made a lot at the beginning is I don't care what it looks like, just send it out, and now as evolving into more of a sous chef, hoping to be exec chef, it's like, actually no, you have to like have standards and care about stuff. And like I was working, and these two line cooks, it was really busy, and they were keeping up, but like he tried to flip over the sea bass and all the breading came off.
Oh no.
And he was trying to pass it off like, yeah, it's fine. And I was like, you're trying to tell me this is fine. He's like, yeah, just send it out. I was like, you're trying to tell me that you're just gonna tell me that we're just gonna send it out. Like it wasn't that extreme, like I'm pretty chill, but I was like, everyone come around here, we don't serve this. I feel like I handled it well. Like, you know, I don't get too like emotional and throw things. It was just more like everyone look at this.
Take note.
We don't. If you flip it and the breading comes off, literally take the same piece of fish and put more breading and then just sear the breading. Like it's a quick fix. You don't need to waste anything. Like, but if something doesn't look like it's supposed to, and I've even like if a cook overcooks a steak but then tells me that he overcooked it and says I'm gonna fire another one, I say thank you, like you're doing the right thing. Like I try to encourage, unless he's always overcooking steaks, but my cooks are pretty good usually. I'll actually be like, thank you for doing the right thing, versus like me catching it and being like, come on, you know that, like you know that that's overcooked, you know that that's not correct. Like, so I always try to encourage an environment of like fessing up to when you make a mistake. And the fact that you came up to me and admitted it, you know, I'm definitely not gonna, I'll never yell at you. I don't care how busy it is.
I tend to be the most emotionally stable person in the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be. Yeah. If the person in charge isn't.
Because if I lose my cool, then everyone loses their cool. And like in a diner, when I have, you know, literally 100 people sitting down and 40 people in line, it's like, we can't allow that. Like,
I mean, it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't speed anything up.
Definitely not.
So, I definitely actively keep my cool at all times. The only time I can remember ever like yelling at a coworker was back in my pastry cook days when we were doing like a chocolate fondant, which took like 10 minutes to cook. And it was usually served with hazelnuts, but this person had a nut allergy. And so the other pastry cook was like sort of an idiot, and they like really disliked him actually. But I was new, right? So I was like the new guy, and but I obviously had like more experience, and I was like, I can handle this, like it's okay. And he was about to put the hazelnuts on the chocolate fondant, and I just yelled at him like, no nuts, there's an allergy. And he was like, and I was like, like otherwise it's like another 10-minute fire like that we can't afford. So it was more like out of a sense of urgency than like,
no, I think that's definitely
emotion.
Sometimes it's appropriate. I feel like yelling at people is not always the wrong thing to do. Like sometimes it's just the right thing to do. When it's like an urgent thing, for sure. For sure.
If it's like I'm taking you down kind of thing,
exactly, then that's different.
Oh my God, calm down.
Aggressive. Okay, I didn't break it. Okay. Would you eliminate tips for a higher wage? Why?
The general consensus is no, because there's no way. Like I wouldn't want to give out specifics, but my servers, like there's no way I could pay my servers even close to their hourly. What they make, or even my support staff, like everyone makes really good money. And there's no way I could pay, you know, upwards of, you know, $35 an hour just the support staff, you know? So it's like even if I increased prices by 22% or whatever, like it just doesn't work economically. Like I have had so many discussions about this of like the market is not ready to bear like a $30 breakfast platter, you know? So unfortunately, that's kind of the system we're in.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, other countries do it. Like I recently went to England and they have it's 12%, but it's still a mandatory service charge. And you kind of just expect that every restaurant you go to, at least in since I'm from America, it's like going there, it's like, oh, it's only 12%. So I'm like, cool. And then I don't have to do any math or like.
So that was pretty standard, like 12% across.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like the prices were kind of high, but I went to nice restaurants. So I feel like I'm not really comparing like for like, but I wouldn't be opposed to some system of like, the culture has to change too, that you can't just raise the prices and then expect people to understand everything about why, and then you can't. In a perfect world, a tip would be like, you did extra well, you went beyond my expectations, like here's a gift for like being so amazing, versus now, like I hate to say this, but I feel obligated to tip 25% on awful service.
Yeah.
And I do, like, it's not like I tip bad, but I feel obligated, and it's not a good feeling either. It's not positive for either party. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like the guest feels an obligation, and then the server like all of a sudden has to like do a whole song and dance when really it's like, can you just bring us our food, please?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's too much money. Like I can't.
Yeah. It's a complete like cultural and system. And now to see even like other countries putting on like a mandatory service charge, I feel like, I don't know, it's not, I mean, it's definitely an America problem, but I feel like I guess I just have to go to another country and see exactly how they do it.
Yeah.
But,
oh no, more travel. Ooh. What's the worst holiday to work in the industry and why?
The worst holiday. I'm just going to list them all. For me,
in order of severity.
Like. Yeah, I'm like, okay, which I got to give like a top 3, and I feel like they're all in December. Maybe not all of them. I would say, okay, this one's not in December. July 4th. I would say, New Year's Eve, and a random day in between Christmas and New Year's Eve. That's like kind of a holiday, but kind of not. But I always feel like the worst day is always just somewhere. Christmas, I feel like everyone's in a good mood on Christmas. Like even though we're working, it's festive and like people are nice for the most part.
I get that.
But I feel like after like a week plus of it being just super busy every day and everyone's burnt out, everyone's tired.
Yeah, and all the private parties and like...
Yeah, parties and customers. Like you get to like the 28th or whatever and you're just like, screw this. I don't want to be here.
I'm with you. Since I'm at a breakfast place, it's like all the brunch days, the Mother's Day, Easter, New Year's Day, it's always like a responsibility thing too. It's like I have to take mom out for breakfast. It's like, and so there's this not quite pleasant feeling at some of the tables, and like you're in this like weird family drama situation now. But yeah, the brunch days and the 4-day or the 3-day weekends, like the President's Day.
I do feel like the 3-day weekends. Yeah, President's Day, Labor Day. Like all those, I guess Juneteenth like recently became one, and it caught us completely off guard because I didn't know that and then we just had like a normal Monday staff.
Right, yeah.
We were like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
At least that one's not always on a Monday. Like that one moves around.
Yeah, same with Veterans Day. I feel like that one hits.
So we've listed all the holidays. So
yeah, I think we just went over. We missed one, Valentine's Day. Our Valentine's Day isn't that bad. I don't know why. Like I guess people
like a
hang out.
Menu
no, like we just do specials plus our menu. But
okay,
I feel like Valentine's Day got so overhyped that people kind of are anti-Valentine's Day.
Millennials killed Valentine's dinner.
Because like I've worked 4 or 5 Valentine's Days now, and I have yet to work one that's like busy.
Huh?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I think people hang out too, like they hang out at their table. And what I found, a rant about Valentine's Day, I guess this does suck for restaurants, but we don't take deposits on our reservations, so I guess that's our problem. But people make a ton of reservations, and then I guess they want to seem spontaneous the day of. Oh. And so they just pick in the moment. Huh. They'll pick one of the 5 reservations they made,
Or just don't show up.
Yeah. no tons of no-shows. Like we considered starting to take deposits just on Valentine's Day, like because of that. But we're anti deposits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so we
that's
just
such an
haven't done
interesting
that. I don't know. That's just
conversation too, right? Like I'm seeing more and more deposits, and then there's this like third-party market for reservations. Have you heard about this?
I think so.
Where it's like a website where people buy and sell reservations to restaurants that they don't own.
Yeah.
And for like $1,000 for like Carbone in New York or whatever.
Yeah, I guess if you're like behind the curve or wanted to show up 2 days. Yeah, no, I think we thought about that on Valentine's Day because it was like, oh, what if you made a bunch of reservations and then you sold them on like February 12th to desperate people? But then we always end up having tons of space because people just cancel. We also get a lot of snow around that time though, so that could be part of it. But
yeah, I do kind of agree that the millennials have
which is kind of a good thing. Valentine's Day is like
manufactured.
Exactly. It's not even a real thing. That's a wrap. Thank you for participating.
Hey, that was fun.